Okay, now we're ready to look at some examples. Well, let's go ahead and look at this one. Okay, negative 2x plus 3y is equal to 7. Kind of looks like ax plus by equals c, but let's see if it meets all three of those criteria. First of all, are both of these not 0? I mean, they're not both 0 is what I mean. That's not 0. If this were 0 and this were 0, we couldn't do that because it should be 0 equals 7, and that doesn't work. So they're not both 0. All of them are integers. There's no fractions here, so that's good. And there's no common factor of 2, 3, and 7 other than 1, so it cannot be simplified down. The only problem that we have is right here. The 2 cannot be negative. These, it doesn't matter, but the 2 cannot be negative. Okay, so let me show you how to fix that. It's actually quite simple. What I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply everything by negative 1. I'm going to multiply everything by negative 1. Negative 1 times negative 2 is 2. Negative 1 times positive 3 is negative 3. And negative 1 times positive 7 is negative 7. So here we have it. Now it meets all of the criteria. And the the leading coefficient, is not negative. Now, you might notice that you could have just changed all the signs and it's the same thing. It is. But two things that I would remind you of. Number one, if you change one sign, you have to change all the signs all the way across the equation, all of them. That's the first thing. And the second thing is if you do that without writing in the negative 1 times on here, you need to make sure that if a teacher or professor in the future asks you, what did you do? Say, I multiplied through by negative 1. I multiplied all my terms by negative 1. Then they'll know that you know what you're doing. Okay, so that's what that looked like. All I did was change all the signs. Okay, now I'm going to give you an example. Here you go. Go ahead and write this in standard form and pause the video. Okay, so you checked and you see everything's an integer. There are no fractions. 5, 4, and 17 don't have a common factor other than 1, so it can't be simplified. The only problem, again, we have is that negative. Now, I could write out there times negative 1, but why bother when all I have to do is change all the signs? Negative becomes positive, and positive becomes negative, and positive becomes negative. And it's really just that simple. Okay, so the one that we're going to run into that might be a little bit more challenging is, there they are, is what if you have a fraction? Because that's not allowed. This isn't negative, so that's fine. It's already simplified, that's fine. But we cannot have a fraction in any of these numbers. So I'm just going to start with this one. So the first thing that would make this a lot easier is if you rewrite that as 2x over 3. 2x over 3. Because it means the same thing. Okay? Because that's, if you didn't know, just little offside notes over here. That's 2/3 times x over 1, right? Because x is x over 1. Multiply straight across the top. That's 2 times x. Multiply straight across the bottom. That's 3 times 1. That's 3. So as you can see, they are the same thing. So it's just easier to work with this way. Okay, now I want to get rid of a fraction. How do you get rid of a fraction? Well, you've done this a million times. All you have to do is multiply by the denominator. Multiply by the denominator. So, and those are going to cancel because 3 times 2x is 6x, and 6x divided by 3 is 2x. All right, but if I multiply one term by 3, I have to multiply all the terms by 3. And here's what I get. These cancel, or 6x over 3 is 2x, either way you want to look at it. 3 times 5y is 15y, and 3 times 7 is 21. So it meets all the criteria. This is positive, it's not negative. All integers, meaning no fractions, no common factor other than 1. So everything looks good. So that's how you would handle you undo a fraction, you undo division with multiplication. Okay. Now, real quick, if you have several, you might run into this, if you have several fractions, and you'll see this on here, with like different denominators, this is a skill. I'm just going to real quickly remind you of how to do this. plus, I don't know, let's make that 7 and make that, I don't know, 3. Okay, you're supposed to find the greatest or the smallest common factor of all these, the LCD, the least common denominator, but you don't have to do that. There's a much quicker way to do it. All you have to have is a common denominator. You might have to simplify more, but all you have to have is a common denominator. And the way you find a common denominator is you multiply all 3 of these numbers together. 2 times 4 is 8. 8 times 3 is, what's 8 times 3? 24. Okay, or I could have said 6 times 4, I could then, or 2 times 12. Anyway, 24 is going to be the common denominator of all these. And then from there, what you do is, what did I multiply 2 by to make it 24? I multiplied 2 by 12. What did I multiply 4 by to make it 24? I multiplied that by 6. And what did I multiply 3 by in order to make it 24? I multiplied that by 8. So 3 times 12 is 36. 5 times 6 is 30. And 7 times 8 is 56. So I just add all those together, and that's how you would do that. But anyway, that's how you put the same one under there. So I would end up with 36 over 24, 30 over 24, and 56 over 24, and then I could just multiply by that denominator and get rid of everything. Anyway, if you have any questions, let me know, and good luck.